Sorry about the reverb.
It's okay. It's all right. Hey guys.
Uh, just hello, hi everybody.
So we almost didn't
I'm
have
having a bit.
Nervardia, but she's here.
Um, yeah, I'm having a bit of a technical problem with my laptop at the moment. For some reason, it's not connecting to my internet, so I'm going through my mobile phone. So if anyone says hello to me, I cannot actually see what you're doing. You're saying hello. So
I'll
hello to everybody
I
who's
will
saying hello.
share I will share any messages to you. That's all right. We got Lone Wanderer. We got just and thank you for subscribing. You popped up. You just popped right
Woo!
up there with you got the Stephen Hawking little GIF image jumping around. Godless Sewings here and Geo Sam. All right. So,
Woo!
Sunday night here. It's Monday morning for you. What's it like in the
Mm.
future? Please tell me it's better.
Well, it's better for me. I have a surprise co-host. Come here. How do I? Oh, nope, she's not here. How do I? She's not. Hang on. She's not doing it. There you go. I got a new co-host today. So if I randomly start moving out of screen, it's just me because she's going, throw me the ball, I want the ball, give me the ball, ball.
Ball addiction is a real thing.
It is, yes. I mean, I think a lot of people have had some ball addiction. A.
Yeah, I suppose so. It depends on your preference.
That's true. That's true.
Depends on your preference. So today, we're talking about some BS that is being perpetuated on the internet. It's racism is real, guys. And so
Apparently,
is
yes.
COVID-19. The propaganda problem. Oh my gosh. This is all the time. I feel like all the time we're having to, go through and talk about how grossly incorrect and almost willfully incorrect something is. I mean, it's really strange to watch people who had a particular, who were very high on, profile individuals just go face first into the conspiracy theory vat where you're like, my God, it's weird. And they're so-called skeptics and people who say they have high intelligence. Well, you can be smart and you can have some level of skepticism, but you can also be incredibly bigoted.
Yeah, being smart does not necessarily mean that you are a good person. That just means that you have a high intelligence.
Right,
Um,
right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
with today, we are going to talk a bit about some of these things that people have said recently. And to be fair, I didn't reach out to Mr. David Silverman until just a little bit ago, but I'm fairly certain he's muted me on Twitter because he's not responding to anything that I say to him now. So, oh well.
That seems like you have it's a horrible situation for you, and
I
I
know.
bet your heart must be broken.
I was really sad for not at all. And it seemed like forever.
Well, so far with that particular organization, I've had two of the leaders block me on Twitter. So I'm like, come on, David, I need the trifecta.
It's like, I hate to use this term, but it's like they shit the bed and then they just smear it around. And they're like, y'all just can't handle this, you just can't handle how we just tell it like it is. I'm like, you're destroying your own bed.
Yeah, it's like, you can't handle the way we talk about it. No, you're the one that can't handle the criticism.
It's just, he said I was a child. He said he was dropping F-bombs and just all, and I'm just going, dude, can you have an adult conversation without yelling at people?
No. And the thing is, like, his Twitter handle is, David Silverman's Twitter handle is Mr. Atheist Pants. And it's like, could you be any more childish? I mean, here you are, one of the leaders of a very respected atheist organization, and your Twitter handle is Mr. Atheist Pants.
Yeah.
That'd be like me having the Twitter handle Little Bo Peep with an attitude. It sounds like something a 12-year-old boy came up with, thinking himself to be hilarious.
Yes. We should, I mean, why doesn't he call himself Mr. Farty Pants? You know,
exactly.
It sounds just as, you know, reputable.
It'd be more accurate if it was Mr. Shitty Pants.
That's true. So I didn't really know much about him until he happened to pop over on, you know, I happened to see people were saying, hey, have you seen this thing? And so then I found out, I'm like, all right, turns out he's got a history of having multiple sexual assault allegations, to where he was actually fired from his job because of that, and also some fraudulent money practices. And, you know, while there was no actual conviction or any kind of thing like that, he still lost his job. He is unemployed right now. He has a hard time making money on YouTube. Be fair, a lot of people do. You know, and now he sells Aflac insurance. And so the video that I saw of him, the first video I saw of him, was where he was hosting an individual who recently had a restraining order put on him. And I'm like, okay, so this seems like a really nice guy.
And systemic racism is a myth.
Oh, not this one, sorry. I gotta figure out which one's which. Let me pull this up. I'm gonna see if I can show my icons. Did you happen to see that? Did you happen to see where
I know the one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Hang on, need to get a ball. All right, there we go.
Okay. Let me pull this up.
Let's harass her right now. I want to harass her right now, okay?
Okay, so, all right. I'm going to pull this up because I feel like this is kind of important, so we can kind of establish a pattern of behavior to a degree. This is my first exposure to this individual. All right. So this
that was your first exposure?
This was my first exposure.
my first exposure was kind of tangentially when I got yelled at for 45 minutes by someone else.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Richard, what's his name or something?
John Richards, yeah.
John Richards. He follows me on Twitter and I'm not following back. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't need that kind of stuff in my life.
He's one of the people who blocked me. Him and Michael Sherlock. All three of them are like quite high up in that particular organization, and that's why I'm like, come on, I need to get David. Because I've been causing him some issues.
Let me give a little bit of backstory for some people. I don't normally kind of bring up the other person that's in there because they haven't been particularly kind to me. And I don't really want to bring up any kind of garbage, but let's just say he was served a restraining order for harassing a woman online for almost a year. And so at which he had to stop, and it got really bad. He got her kid involved, all kinds of just awful stuff. So I don't want to perpetuate any more of that, but I do want to kind of point out David Silverman has a history of sexual assault allegations. And so his response to this person, because he didn't actually vet him or see what was going on, his response was to do this. And so he decides, well, I'm going to make a joke about the woman felt like she wasn't being sexually harassed. She was just being uncomfortable. And she clarified that many times because the other gentleman was talking about his penis. And so this is David Silverman's response.
But anyways, so let's harass her right now. I want to harass her right now, okay? Penis. I'm so offended. David, you didn't ask my consent. Penis. But you know what? You have my consent for everything. No, but I'm saying it to her, and I didn't give her my consent. Oh. If she watches this video, now I've assaulted her. Oh, now she's gonna send you a cease and desist and a quote.
Well, the guy on the right, the court found enough evidence there to give him a restraining order so he would leave this woman alone. All right. And then the guy on the left has already been in trouble with sexual assault allegations, right? And so why in the world, if you say, I'm innocent and that never happened, would you make a joke about such a thing like that?
That's an extremely good question. I mean, I'm not sure about the chat, but I couldn't hear what was being said, but I'd already seen that clip.
Okay.
Yeah. And thankfully, I didn't have to hear what was being said because I was already like...
Yeah. Hopefully you could hear that. Okay. Oh, hey, Robert. Childish reaction. Yes, it was. Gio, how you doing? Aunt Jer, Amiga Nuts is here. Mr. Shadow Kitty. What's going on? So essentially, he was saying he wanted to sexually assault her right now by saying the word penis. Now, she never claimed to have been sexually assaulted by the other man, nor did she say that she was being harassed on him. Just him talking about his genitals made her uncomfortable because she doesn't know that man. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's like, if I'm having a conversation with somebody on a show and I don't really consider them like a friend and we don't have that kind of understanding, if you're going to talk about your genitals, I'm not going to be entirely comfortable unless I already know that, if it's a silly show and they make dick jokes and stuff like that. Okay, I go on a couple shows like that, but I feel safe and those people aren't actually trying to hurt me. He's made her feel uncomfortable multiple times. So what does David Silverman do? Penis! I want to sexually assault you right now. And he's just, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you? Hey, Robert, offer still stands. If you want to pop in and chime in on the racism comments, you can, if you're not busy, you can come in.
I would love to have you in if you can as well.
Yes, so just hit me up on Twitter and I can shoot you the link if you want to join. So just let me know, Robert. He's on Periscope right now watching. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so that's a bit of history. So we're already dealing with somebody who's not entirely super nice, and
no, he's also been highly abusive online to just people in general.
Yeah.
He hasn't said or done anything to me overly abusive, but he's never come off to me as being a particularly nice person. What's wrong, Iowa? Oh, there it is.
Lone Wanderer has said allegedly. Say allegedly. Well, I did say allegedly. I said there were allegations. I said there were sexual assault allegations. That doesn't mean that, and I said he wasn't convicted. He didn't actually, there was no trial. But it's important to note that most sexual assault happenings never make it to court, let alone jail. And I have a paper that I have a piece that I wrote, kind of like an essay that I wrote on my website, ScientistMel.com. You can go in there /articles and find the one where it's about Me Too. I post a lot of information as to why women don't report, the psychological damage associated with that, and how everything is weighted against us in just going and reporting it. The financial aspects that happen to women, the medical costs, the psychological costs, the costs women drop out of college, particularly if it happens in college. They will forego their education because they can't cope with going to school and having to deal with that. And then their families have to take care of them. And then there's also a community cost. So it's like, it's huge. It's not so simple. And so when they say, well, he wasn't convicted, it doesn't mean that a crime was not committed. So we got to kind of keep that in mind. So
Yeah.
When you're going through that.
And people often bring up what about the percentage of guys who get falsely accused? And it's like, no system is perfect. Unfortunately, there are guys who get falsely accused, and it's horrendous. But the overwhelming percentage of women who report and don't get believed, or just don't even bother reporting. I mean, that small percentage of men who, and I'm not taking away the trauma that they go through being falsely accused of by sexual assault, but if you go and look at it from a purely statistical point of view, that's not a good thing. Like, the small percentage completely overshadows what is completely overshadowed by the sexual assault that women undergo. And you'll find that I found that the majority of men who have railed against the Me Too movement have also been the ones who've been accused of assaulting people. So the men who, such as David Silverman, he absolutely despises the Me Too movement. And shock horror, he actually has been, he's been accused of assault. So you can see why he's against it. He's also an anti-feminist as well, because of this sort of situation. And he's all about, the woke, and he's very anti-woke. And it's like, dude, just become Christian again and just go grift on the right. Like, come, it's like, he swallowed, was it the red pill? He swallowed the red pill, and now I wouldn't be surprised eventually if he'll swallow the God pill as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cringy.
He's very cringy.
He's been posting a lot of cringy stuff. The thing that I take issue with, when we're dealing with this kind of thing, where you're perpetuating all kinds of issues, in oppressive perspectives. He's basically now going out and saying that racism isn't real and police brutality ain't a thing. And he actually posted a parody video that was meant to make fun of COVID-19 conspiracies, and he treated it as fact.
Yeah, I saw that. That was freaking hilarious, actually. I thought that was one of the funniest things that I have ever seen. It's like, why shouldn't we spread this around? Because it's parody, you dickhead. That's why. If
you look at the content creator, you look at his channel, it's clearly parody. But there were some people who, under that tweet, were like, he makes very good, interesting points. And then you and me are going in there going, this is a parody. What are you doing?
Doesn't make any sense.
This is not real. Yeah, he did say felons' lives don't matter. So this is really interesting. And this was a good segue into this. I want to play a couple clips here. And these clips were from an podcast episode. And Godless Engineer actually posted little clips of this.
I just wanted to punch my screen when I listened to this.
The hole in my wall is getting bigger from me putting my head through it, I think.
Yeah, just be careful of that quantum tunneling, hey?
Yeah, I need to be careful with that. But yeah, let me bring up one of these. So
you don't really want to cause the vacuum decay of the universe, that's for sure.
No, you don't. Let me.
And systemic racism is a myth.
Okay.
And police brutality is.
Okay, so he did a podcast episode with David C. Smalley, and I can show you. And I think it was a patron-based type of podcast. But David Smalley, you can check out his Twitter. You can go and see the whole thing. So here's a snippet of that. And this was kind of clipped by Godless Engineer on Twitter. So, credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's have a listen to this hot garbage.
And systemic racism is a myth. And police brutality is not a real problem. And I don't get upset when felons get the shit kicked out of them by cops. I don't care when a felon gets the shit kicked out of them by cops. Especially when they're reaching for a gun. Especially when they're a dangerous criminal. Especially when they got multiple felonies. I've got more shit to worry about than that.
Okay, any comments? It's just a whole 20 seconds into it, and we want to just... Oh, God. I feel like I need a shower already.
Well, I couldn't actually hear what it was being said, so I'll agree with you.
I'll tell you what. Hold on. Let me fix it. I think I can fix this. Let me go back through. I think I forgot to click the button so you could hear stuff. So,
well, as I said, that's perfectly okay by me.
Sorry about that. Okay, people in the chat, feel free to weigh in, and I'll read some of your comments on what you have to say. Nathan Jaspers joined us. Angel on Periscope. Major back on Facebook. How you doing? What's up? Let's have a listen again.
And systemic racism.
While you're listening, I will show you Isla so you can sort of have some sweetness. And there we go. You can watch Isla while I play with her. So you don't have, you've got something good. Come on, bring it. All right.
It's a myth. And police brutality is not a real problem. And I don't get upset when felons get the shit kicked out of them by cops. I don't care when a felon gets the shit kicked out of them by cops. Especially when they're reaching for a gun. Especially when they're a dangerous criminal. Especially when they got multiple felonies. I've got more shit to worry about than that. And
Okay.
Well, there we go.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking about that?
He's an absolute twat waffle. Was it twat waffle or muffin? Twat muffin. Twat waffle. Either one.
I prefer Professor Brian Cox's, appropriate terminology. He believes we should use appropriate terminology, and this walks the line of flat earthers. So I would say, fuck nozzle.
Fuck nozzle. Yeah. Well, nozzle. I preferred Brian Cox anyway. Like, at all times.
I prefer him in my house with a mouse, in a car, very far, in a train, on a plane. I'll get Dr. Seuss up in here, man.
Oh yeah. I just Dr. Brian Cox is definitely a person if you get on for an interview, I will sit there and not say a word just in case I make a complete and utter twat waffle out of myself. So, yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. So, racism isn't real. Systemic racism isn't real. Police brutality is not a thing. And he doesn't beat the crap out of them.
Yes. No. He calls himself a humanist, by the way.
He does. He says humanism is about doing good. Well, this isn't the Justice League. We don't get to go around wearing superhero outfits beating up people we think are bad. That's not how humanism works. No.
That is definitely not how humanism works. Humanism looks at people and goes, oh, okay, let's have a look at how we can fix this, and
right.
Sort of takes the it takes the number and puts a human to it,
right,
rather than the other way around. Oh, hang on, sorry.
It's okay. So the thing that I find particularly interesting, since he gets so upset about allegations, and he's like, well, why should we believe women? Because he's constantly pushing this particular narrative. He's completely fine if previous felons undergo some kind of police brutality. And that's what his clip is saying. It doesn't matter to him. But if we go the route and we say, okay, even if David Silverman is completely innocent, as he says, by his own words, he should be subjected to the same level of police brutality if it's okay. So I pulled a paper really quickly. I pulled a paper about police brutality. Nervardia has to go handle the doggy for a second. And not police brutality, but wrongful convictions. Here's the thing that I have an issue with. How do you know if an ex-felon is actually dangerous or not? So this paper that I found, I'm going to pull this up for you so you can kind of see my sources. It's online here. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Where is it? Oh boy. Here we go. And so I'm going to share this with you guys, and I can post a link in the chat if you want to have a read at this. Here is a paper, and I'll blow it up. Race and wrongful convictions in the United States. And this was published a little over 3 years ago, March 7th, 2017. And this is a National Registry of Exonerations. And this is the Newkirk Center for Science and Society, University of California, Irvine. So we're having a look at this. And yes, you're right, Mr. Shadow Kitty. They still have a right to due process. Angel says he's just using sensationalism to get attention. I agree. Hey, Stuttering Chris, how you doing? I'm sorry Silverman triggers you. Silverman triggers you, Titan. I'm sorry. Oh, how cute. I know doggies are cute. Lone Wanderer's Variety Channel says, Scientist Mel, David is profoundly wrong. Not all people beaten by the police are felons. Even if they were, that should not negate their right to safety. I agree. I absolutely agree with you. Twat Waffle is correct, says the Major Pack. Oh my goodness. And guys, keep watching because I do have merch that I give out for Mel's Minions points. Douche Fizzle, that could be one. Nathan. Alrighty. But oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't think you're right, Godless Sewing. I don't know that he would say this to somebody, a person of color. I bought cheese and forgot crackers. Well, would you like that sounds like a little bit of wine you got going on there, Titan. I'm picking on you. Who does the audio belong to? The audio for that particular one belonged to David Smalley. Let me look that up. It's part of his podcast. So the guy whose image was in that picture on the left-hand side of David Silverman, that's a clip from his podcast episode. So that's a good question. Yes. All right.
Hey, sorry about that.
It's all right. I just pulled up a paper moving into, and I was catching up on the chat, the race and wrongful convictions in the U.S. This came out a little over 3 years ago. And so just check out these numbers. So African Americans are only 13% of the American population. All right. But a majority, and here we go, I'll just highlight it as I go. But a majority of innocent defendants, wrongfully convicted of crimes and later exonerated. They constitute 47% of the 1,900 exonerations listed in the National Registry as of 2016. And the great majority of more than 1,800 additional innocent defendants who were framed and convicted of crimes in a 15 large-scale police scandals and later cleared in the group exonerations. So we're talking 47%. They constitute 47% of 1,900 exonerations just from 2016.
Wow. And I'm going to shout out Saurus. He did a fan-freaking-tastic breakdown of the 13%, 50% of the crimes argument you keep hearing that racists keep putting out, like really good breakdown. He talks about excess policing in black neighborhoods. He talks about how systemic racism, he does a really good job talking about those things. So yeah, if you, I can't link it, but if I could, I would put a link in the description. And I'm hoping somebody will. But Cyrus's video on debunking, I think it's one of his Dangers of Woo episodes that he puts out. It was a really, really good one. And I strongly recommend you go watch it.
I think people need to understand that this is where population size matters. And so if you're looking at you can't look at the overall population necessarily to find trends. If you're looking at particular variables that affect a population, you have to look at that population as a singularity. So you have a huge majority of black people compared to the small amount of the minority of white people according to the population size. So that's what's important here. It's a disproportionate amount of black people versus white people. More black people are going to prison for crimes based on the population size versus white people. It's a tiny amount of white people. It's not equal. So if you have a huge chunk of black people going to jail, so let's say we got a black person pizza and we got a white person pizza. Like one tiny slice of white person pizza, one tiny slice of pizza is going over here. And then you got the black person pizza. You got a big old chunk that's coming out. It's a bigger slice for just that one pizza. Almost, it hits the population harder. And people don't think that. They don't understand. We're not blending them together. It's not equal at all.
Yeah. And also with going to jail and getting criminal record, it causes intergenerational poverty, intergenerational crime. One of the biggest factors for crime is poverty.
Yes.
So if you're going to put somebody in jail, they can't provide for their family because they can't get a better paying job. Therefore, when they have children, they're going to be in poverty, and then when those kids are more likely to end up being poor, and then the cycle just keeps repeating. So one of the biggest factors for crime statistics is poverty, and poverty is intergenerational. So it's hand in hand, not great. And of course, like the black population has a higher chance of being poor because of systemic racism. It's just it's a big messy glom of bullshit, basically.
Thank you, Amiga Nuts, for throwing in the videos associated with the audio. I appreciate that. So if you're looking for the original content video, check the side chat on YouTube. You can find it there. Some other things that are pretty interesting. When we're looking at the argument that he said systemic racism isn't real and that ex-felons deserve police brutality, blah, 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 all of that. We heard it. Okay, here's something interesting. African-American, and I highlighted it, African-American prisoners who are convicted of murder are about 50% more likely to be innocent than other convicted murderers.
Jesus.
All right. African-Americans imprisoned for murder are more likely to be innocent if they were convicted of killing white victims. Only about 15% of murders by African-Americans have been white victims, but 31% of innocent African-American murder exonerees were convicted of killing white people.
Jesus Christ.
It gets even better.
And you've heard of the Innocence Project?
I think so.
It's a group that works to exonerate innocent people. And they've got people off death row, and a lot of it, like, it's sort of like they helped get some pretty high-profile cases off, exonerated. I think they got one guy recently. He spent 20 years of his life behind bars.
Wow.
And free.
I mean, it's just how, you know, and taking into consideration this person is going to have to adapt to not being in prison anymore. And even if, you know, the fact that they're innocent, what have you been doing the past 20 years? How are they going to get a job? Employers ask for what you've been doing. And if they don't particularly like your story, you don't get a job. Let's look at this. This is what's even better with the police brutality thing, okay? This is why we have due process, and this is why we need to follow to the letter the law. The convictions that led to murder exonerations with black defendants were 22% more likely to include misconduct by police officers than those of white defendants.
That's ridiculous. Oh, that's so bad.
In addition, on average, black murder exonerees spent 3 years longer in prison before release than white murder exonerees, and those sentenced to death spent 4 years longer. So, systemic racism is real, guys, and cops have it. It's not like we haven't seen significant amount of it recently. Oh my gosh.
Like the whole George Floyd, and Silverman brings up George Floyd and talks about how he was high and everything like that. And it's still like, even if he was going to die that afternoon, he still got killed by a cop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people are asking me, and I don't know too much about the overdose limit of fentanyl. Yeah, I don't know too much about that, and everyone's asking me. I'm like, I don't know, but can you give us all a little bit of because I've heard that he had therapeutic level of fentanyl. I've heard he had enough to kill him. Like, do you know too much? Do you know about his autopsy report?
Somebody actually messaged me as soon as that was coming out. Somebody messaged me like, I need your help about this. I need to know what the lethal amount of fentanyl is in a person. Here's the thing. It varies. There is no standard. There is no standard that I can find. It's largely to do with the person. It's highly individual. You also have the problem with that is if they test for fentanyl, your body's metabolism can be different after you die. Sometimes your metabolism can keep going. Sometimes it doesn't. There's so many other factors that when I try to find what a lethal amount of fentanyl is with any autopsies, they don't have a standard. It's just, that can be lethal. But George Floyd wasn't a little old lady who weighed 90 pounds, so you have
He was a big man.
He was a big man. And that might have been an okay dosage. Most overdoses that I found are like 10 times that. Okay. So there have been the reports of overdoses tend to be on the way higher end of that. So there's no standard for like, this is the minimum amount that would kill you. Because most of the time people who overdose are on the further side of, they're just popping them because they're trying, because they're having suicidal or, whatever's going on with them, mentally.
Yeah.
So,
and he tested positive for methamphetamine. And the thing is, I have ADHD. If I died today, like if I died, in a car accident, they would test me and they would find methamphetamine in my system because I take Ritalin, which is methylphenidate.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's that, and also they found marijuana in his system. Oh, whoopty freaking do! Marijuana in the system. Yay!
Aunt Jer makes a point here. Those numbers also don't take into account the innocent people never exonerated. You're right, and they address that. They say most wrongful convictions are never discovered. We have no direct measure of the number of all convictions of innocent murder defendants, but our best estimate suggests that they outnumber those we know many times over. Judging from exonerations, half of these innocent murder defendants are African Americans.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and that's horrendous.
And that's just in murder. We haven't even gotten into sexual assault. All the wrongful convictions there, the drug crimes. You know,
because I read somewhere that Black Americans and white Americans smoke weed at the same rate, but Black Americans are like something like 4 times more likely or something like that to be arrested for marijuana possession and consumption. Is that right? Or
evidence on drug use shows that African Americans and whites use illegal drugs about the same rate. Nonetheless, African Americans are about 5 times as likely to go to prison for drug possession as whites. And judging from exonerations, innocent Black people are about 12 times more likely to be convicted of drug crimes than innocent white people.
And
there you go.
But let's not get into the whole situation with how much drug criminalization has done literally nothing except put people in jail. I mean, have you heard of Portugal? Have you heard what they did over there?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so basically they just decriminalized all drugs. So there's a difference between decriminalizing something and making something illegal. From what I can understand is the difference between the two is speeding. You're driving your car and you go over the speed limit. What you do, that's decriminalized in the sense that you will not be sent to jail, but you will experience fines or something like that. So it's naughty, but you're not going to end up going to jail. So when they decriminalized drugs, what they did was they took away the going to jail, and then they were like, okay, because you did something that was not criminalized, that was decriminalized but not legal, you're going to have to go to rehab, or you're going to have to go and do this, this, and this, and this. And once they did that, they started attacking the root of the problem, because their drug use skyrocketed after the 2008 global financial crisis, because everyone lost their jobs in Portugal. And so everyone became depressed. So everyone turned to drugs and alcohol to recover from it. And so they had Portugal had one of the highest rates of illicit drug use in Europe. And so they decided to stop attacking drug use and start attacking the root of the problem. And so these people were, for example, if they had someone who was on ice, they made them go through rehab, but they also paid people to go and hire a person who used to be a drug addict, because they found that the reason why a lot of people turn to drugs and alcohol is through boredom as well. So when you lose your job, you become depressed, which is one factor for drug use, and then you also become bored, which is another factor for drug use. And so for example, somebody who used to be a banker, for example, may have been a mechanic in a past life. They would have gone, okay, well, we will pay this person to give you a job. And so this person hired this other person. They had a job, they had something to do with their life, they had things to do. And then eventually, because they were, as long as they stayed clean or on their regiment, they were able to keep their job, and it actually turned out they basically turned the country around when it came to illicit drug use. It's a really interesting thing. They're obviously, because they they decriminalize something, their crime plummeted because of all of the extra flow-on effects. So if somebody is addicted to drugs, they're more likely to do illegal prostitution. They're more likely to do thievery, like anything to get the hit.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So if they all of a sudden start making their hit easy to find in the sense of methadone or their programs, then they ended up not having to do illegal prostitutions or thievery or whatever.
Right.
So that the ripple-on effect of just decriminalizing and attacking drug use, not as a criminal thing, but as a health thing, which is, experts worldwide are saying drugs should not be considered as a criminal issue, but a public health issue.
Right.
And yeah, so if you want to go and check out, looking into the studies that have happened after Portugal decriminalized, it's done a really, really positive thing. And as we can see in the US, you're showing that even just simple drug use by the Black community, that people are more, what did you say, 12 times more likely to get a conviction?
Yep.
Black people?
Yep, 12 times more likely to be convicted of drugs than innocent white people. So
yeah.
And I put the link to this study in the side chat, I think, on all of the platforms. So you can have a look at that. I think it might be a good idea to I found a really good lawyer. For individuals who have issues with they're really uncomfortable about talking about racism, and they're very upset that people are talking about police brutality. Individuals kind of similar to Mr. Silverman. I did find a really good lawyer to help them if they want to sue for damages based on their personal experiences, having to get any emotional damage from having to talk about their whiteness. So let me pull this up. This is one of our latest sponsors. Hold on. Someday I will get that to not automatically play until I get up the screen here.
One day. It's a hope, a belief.
But today is not that day. Today
What do we say to the god of autoplay? Not today.
Not today. The autoplay is my Aragorn. Today and I'm like, man, okay. Well, here we go.
We made it.
Are you upset by seeing people discussing things that hurt them? Are you worried people will treat you the way you have treated them? Are you afraid of people who don't look like you and what they might do if they gain equality? Oh, well, fear not, there is hope. You just might have a case of white fragility. I know it's frightening and scary, but you know what? It's okay. I am here to help. I am from the law offices of Butt, Hurt, and Wine. We dedicate our services to filing lawsuits for damages associated with white fragility. Our team of lawyers will work through our totally not frivolous lawsuits that are persistent on wasting time and resources so we can validate your bias and this cognitive dissonance you are currently experiencing. It can be quite painful, but we understand your social struggle to deal with oppressive history associated with whiteness. So stop worrying. Don't think about it anymore. Call us at Butt, Hurt and Whine so we can confirm your bias and help you feel validated. Call 555-WHINE today.
Butt, hurt, and whine.
Beautiful, Mel. Beautiful. Love that.
Have you suffered from white fragility? Butt, hurt, and whine is here to help you with totally not frivolous lawsuits. Oh my goodness. You did not just take drugs, Nathan. Dubstep. I love making those little commercials. They're funny. I totally didn't make that. That's totally a real lawyer, guys.
Clearly, I can see.
It's not parody at all.
Yep. Not at all.
I wonder if that video would get retweeted on Silverman's account. Hey guys, I found a lawyer. This needs to be spread far and wide.
You need to put that up so every single time I see somebody do that, I'm just going to go, oh, I found the perfect lawyer for you.
But I think I might have it on my channel, so I'll pull that up. Oh my gosh.
Just like bookmark it.
This bookmark it. Here you go. Here's a lawyer for you. But her boredom and depression can get to you rapidly. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, and also make sure you look after yourself with that. Keep in touch with your brain, because we're not very good at that. And also something I've noticed is a lot of people are going, oh, I feel really down, but at least I have a job or something like that. It's so I shouldn't continue thinking. And it's like, no, you bloody feel your feelings.
Yes.
That attitude of I'm not doing I'm doing better than everyone else, therefore shouldn't complain, is complete and utter bullshit. Your feelings are valid.
I agree with that. That's why I love Mr. Rogers. I read Mr. Rogers every Saturday on my show. I'm like, we're just gonna open up the book. What Mr. Rogers speaking to me today? Turned it to. I'm channeling Mr. Rogers, but that's true. People don't. I mean, it's also National Suicide, or it's Suicide Prevention Month. I think that might be worldwide suicide. I think it is, and so it's something that we kind of need to normalize, talking about the fact that people do get depressed. It's like a chronic illness. If you get a cold, allergy, random ball passing in line. That was smooth though. But it's just, it's something that we should talk about, and it's a part of human life, Yeah. So definitely just keep in mind, keep yourself in touch. Remember to be grateful. My suggestion to you would be, remember to keep yourself grateful and to ground yourself. But, for example, we went to lockdown just before my birthday, so I couldn't have a birthday party, and that bummed me out. But I'm like, oh well, I didn't get my birthday party, but at the same time, it still bummed me out, and I recognize it. I'm annoyed because it put my graduation for my degree off by another year. That's bothered me more. But it might seem small to some people, but it's big to others. It really is.
Yeah, so just don't feel bad about feeling bad around this.
Yeah. It's completely normal. Peter, gonna go for it. So Scientist Mel, we do the same in the Netherlands. No jail, just treatment for drug addiction. I like that. That's a good idea. J.I. Pearson, I think it's Person. Hello, by the way. Hadn't said hi to you yet. Decriminalizing things seems to lower the usage of the criminalized thing, regardless whether it is drugs or abortions. I mean, it tends to do that because with that comes education, right?
Yeah.
With that comes some education.
And also in the sense of decriminalizing drugs, it's not that what is it? I'm doing something naughty.
Right. It takes away that aspect. Nathan Jasper says that lawyer got his degree from the same shed as Kent Hovind. I should call him again sometime when we're live on the show. He actually takes my calls.
Oh, really?
He texted me once. I was doing a show with Doc Savage, and Nate Brody was on, and we were talking about basically how evolution being taught in school and that sort of thing, and the legal issues, all of that. And so I managed to get Kent Hovind on the phone. And that was like the second time I've done that. And I'll say, oh, I'm a teacher, I'm putting together a unit, which, I'm a budding college chemistry professor now, but I used to be a high school teacher. So I would just ask him all the questions and stuff, and he would just rattle. It's the same script every time. And then he's just like, yeah, I'm so glad you called me. And then and so when I was like, when I called him, he texted me and said, can you call me right back? And I'm like, okay. And
so you have Kent Hovind's phone number.
And he still
That's
takes my
fucking
call.
Beautiful.
I got a Christmas text from him once. The first time I called him, because I was on movie night over on Sci-Strike's channel. That was a while ago before he passed. And they were watching a Kent Hovind video. It was for a fundraiser for another content creator. And so I was going through, and I called them, and I called him, and I saw this 1-800 number dinosaurs, and I called, and he answered the phone. It was funny. Alrighty, let's see. I'm catching up on the chat. Scientist Mel, Silverman is BDSM spread far and wide, may throw him off a bit. Oh my goodness. Mel helps me keep in touch with my brain, says Mr. Shadow Kitty. Oh, goodness. But reality has liberal bias. Maybe, Nathan. See you later, Aunt Jer. Thanks for hopping on.
See ya.
Let's see. Catching up. That was great. I'm glad you guys liked that. Alrighty. From Aunt Jer, Netflix, The Innocence Files. Okay. Well, thank you, Amiga Nuts, for posting that. All right. So, I wanted to talk a bit. Okay, so I'm going to post a picture. I'm going to pull up David Silverman's Twitter, and then I want to talk about some of the psychology associated with why is it that people buy into this stuff. And so I've got a few things that we can have a look at. So let me pull up this hot garbage. It's just like, it's hot garbage, guys. You get your garbage delivered here.
Well, right now it's like just warming up to spring here. It's my favorite time of year. So eventually hot garbage will literally be hot garbage over here in the next month or two, because it'll be like stinking hot and I'll be like melting.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm familiar with that, man.
But apparently it's going to be a strong La Nina this year. So we're just going to also have lots and lots of rain, which is a hell of a lot better than lots and lots of fire from last year. I'd much prefer lots and lots of rain personally.
Man.
Yes, no. that was horrible. That was horrible. The bushfires from last year.
That sounds pretty bad. I'm very sorry.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it still bothers me a lot. And I don't know what the overall, but definitely species went extinct from that. They're still trying to figure out the ecological disaster that it was.
That's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while. There was an island where there was an endemic species there just on that particular island, and 100% of its habitat was destroyed.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, people. It was nasty. It was very, very nasty, and some of the comments coming out on the internet, was just like, yeah, don't say that. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, so much. It's just in the perpetuation of wrong information is a problem.
Yeah, I kind of wish that we were doing this back then, so I could have a rant about it.
Well, we can still rant about it. I imagine people are still saying the same stuff, so it's just oh God.
I'm just going to wait until the next bushfire, because it's going to be the same stuff.
Yeah, probably will
It's gonna be the same. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a tweet. Spread this word about COVID or tell me why we shouldn't. Okay, this particular guy, okay, he's a, this came from a Dropbox. So it looks like he downloaded this and put it in a Dropbox file. So it's not directly to this comedian's YouTube channel. So notice that it's a Dropbox file. And so I think he downloaded this, put it in his Dropbox, and is sharing the link. So he didn't even check to see if this was a parody.
Or maybe he knew who he was, and then just did it anyway. Didn't care. Which is also something that would be, very Silverman-y.
Right.
Because he's not a big fan of facts, I've noticed. Facts that don't agree with his narrative.
It's like, well, but he's a skeptical, highly serious, totally serial critical thinker, man. He's a freaking genius for that. Oh my god. And so here you are, he's a comedian. I'm like, here you go, it's a parody video. Look at this, and this is great. A lot of the comments make valid points, but 94% is a huge number. So this guy thought it was real. This is why it's a problem, guys. And then this is Fiona Robertson, if you're not familiar with her. She does have a PhD in biology. She's really sweet. She works primarily with animals. But she goes through, and she's like, this is stupid, this is cute. And we're like, and you're like, this guy is a parody. And so this guy's a comedian. So here you are going through all
that was my response. This guy is he's a comedian. That's why we shouldn't. That is why we shouldn't.
Then this person, he also has a video making fun of CBD with a plug for a specific CBD oil. And he makes fun of self-improvement industry, yet has a self-improvement course. He's a sarcastic comedian, Dave. Yes, this counts. The counts are going to be off. There are various reasons for that. Every country does their counts differently for one. And in the U.S., every state probably does too. Plus, it's the middle of a pandemic, and everyone is. Yeah, so.
I love that response where they meme him that meme of him going, what? That's just backfired on him big time.
The slow descent into right-wing buffoonery. Like, seriously. And so there's a lot of, oh, God. This is going to be a yikes for me, dog. At least there was really good pushback from this. Because that guy is a satirical comedian. Oh, my goodness. So he posted that. I actually have that guy. There you are again. That guy is a comedian. So I have. Let's just look a little. Well, we can look a little bit at this video. But and so he treated this as fact. Now, to be fair, sometimes videos can come off as it's like Onion articles and all of those parody news sites. Sometimes I think they're real, and then sometimes they predict reality of people thinking.
As your trusted health authority.
Okay.
There's a Onion version, Australian Onion version. I actually know one of the authors, called the Batuta Advocate. And they're freaking hilarious. And I actually saw someone use the Batuta Advocate as a source. Like, they were deadly serious. And it was like, look at this source. And I just was like, you just sourced the Onion. That's literally what you just did. You fucking sourced the Batuta Advocate, which is Australia's version of the fucking Onion.
People don't check their sources so great.
No, they don't. Hello. Oh, I know. I haven't been throwing the ball to you enough. It's terrible. Oh, did I roll over your foot? Sorry, sweetie. Sorry. The dog's like, attention, give me attention. All right. Sit.
Okay.
How do I?
So let's have a look at some of these terribly serious takes that were that were perpetuated as fact. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull up some studies I found about the use and how it is, and advice from experts on how it is that this sort of thing is believed to be real.
As your trusted health authority, I'll share with you why you should be more scared than ever before. But first, there's been a new twist in the COVID crisis. We just published research on the CDC website that shows only 6% of COVID deaths that we've been reporting to you were caused by COVID alone. 94% of COVID deaths had an average of 2.6 comorbidities. That means of the 161,392 COVID deaths that we've been shoving in your face, only 9,210 were legitimate COVID deaths. So does that mean we've been deceiving you and inflating the COVID death count by 152,182 deaths? Absolutely not, because we genuinely don't believe in math. And does this new information that proves that COVID is far less deadly than we've been trying to get you?
So he took this as a comedian that was being serious, but not, you know what I mean?
And also one of the big giveaways is the fact that he's got long hair down. If he was a professional person, he would actually have his hair up or styled differently, not down like that. Like, no offense to him, but if anyone wants to talk about forward a professional look, a guy with long red hair and no jacket on is definitely not one of them.
Oh
like
God.
that would not be the face of the company.
Yeah, so I think David probably thought that this was comedy, but he thought the math was real.
But it's not, though.
Okay. And
it's so hard for him to understand. And I think I did actually respond to him where he's like, talking about the flu, and I just put like 4 or 5. Oh, I know. I'm a terrible person for ignoring you. Can everyone see her?
Yeah, she's cute.
Sorry. This is the reason why I'm slightly distracted. Like, come on, she's gorgeous.
Right. She is. Sweet baby.
She's gorgeous. Where's your ball? Get your ball.
But it is a real problem. So people who perpetuate the wrong information or even oppressive ideologies, particularly in the current climate, it can be very lethal. It can be lethal. I mean, this idea that it's not so bad, or it's not as bad as this, or it's not as bad as that. I think what people don't understand is that when this is going by death certificates. So on a death certificate, you'll list something, what the cause of death is. I covered, probably about 9 months or so ago, I covered a particular chiropractor whose wife had stage 4 cancer. He took her off of treatments, and she agreed to go off of treatments. And he started like giving her foot baths and fleshing her out with lemon water, all kinds of nonsense that we know doesn't work. Had her stop taking chemotherapy, all of her medications. And so she ended up getting a car accident and died during surgery or shortly after. So on her death certificate, it says that she died from the car accident. And so what he's saying now is that he cured her of her stage 4 cancer. But unfortunately, the car accident is what killed her. And so he's actually selling treatments for people to come to his establishment. And I called the receptionist and asked questions about it because I wanted to know what the cancer treatments were. And then she told me the story about his wife and all this other stuff. It's freaking disgusting. And so on the death certificates, it doesn't list exclusively as COVID-19, but you have all of these other complications that can come from that. Kidney failure, kidney damage, lung damage. You have neurological issues. You have lung issues. And so it might list something as a particular issue with an organ or bleeding things or, people having strokes. People can have strokes from this. And that's what killed them. It doesn't list it as COVID-19. And so people are not understanding that. But he's pushing a parody as fact.
And that's not okay. But unfortunately, sometimes even parodies, something that's clearly a parody, people will still cite it as fact. So, like, as much as this guy, he was being, he was making a parody, and it's clear that it's a parody, people will still buy into that bullshit. That's why whenever I did a video once where I was like, I'm no longer an atheist, and my voice was like, oh yes, and I am such a good Christian girl, and like, that's how I spoke, and that's how I talked, and people still took it seriously. And it's just like, why? Oh, I know. Why haven't I thrown the ball? Oh, where's the ball? Go get.
That was a love slap.
That was a love slap.
That was a love slap. Know your place, woman. Throw that ball.
Pretty much.
Nathan Jasper, Kermit climate. No, current. I know my accent is weird. Hi, ho.
Mine doesn't.
This is Kermit the Frog. Yeah, it's current climate. Titan says, people don't understand that excess deaths is the only metric that matters, or the difference between a pandemic death and a virus killing you. Also, people don't take into consideration when the hospitals are full and you get in a car accident, you're going to be sitting on a cot in the hallway waiting for a room.
Yeah. While you're bleeding to death.
While you're bleeding to death. Or something that's highly treatable gets put on the back burner. And if they don't have enough ventilators, Texas started to try to sort out who they could or could not save. And then they just started sending people home to die. So, it's just, this is where we're at now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch up on the chat. Car crashes, cure diseases, sign me up. Yeah, Nathan, for real, man. Oh, goodness. Nathan says, your dog is almost as beautiful as you. Don't worry, Mel. You're beautiful, too. Aww. That's sweet.
Yeah, she's adorable. I'm just dog sitting today. She's my ex's dog, actually. Yes. But she's gorgeous. She's an absolute gem. So I'm more than happy to look after her. But she does have a ball obsession. She's obsessed with those balls.
Man. Okay. I want to pull up. I follow a really great account, Dr. Benjamin Janaway. And he posted, let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, found it. Yay. Okay, so Dr. Benjamin Janaway, he's really, really nice. He's really cool. He posted some information. He's an NHS doctor for mental health. I think it's psychology. I'm not certain if it's psychology or psychiatry. But he posted a really great thread on how it is that people fall for conspiracy theories. So let me kind of pull this up. Once you try conspiracy theories, you can be hooked. So, but it's mostly boiled down to fallacies. I've often talked about all of the different cognitive biases that we experience. And as a scientist, you have to fight against that. That's why we use multiple forms of instruments to show that there's causation between the two rather than our brains. Our brains are fantastic. They'll look for patterns in anything, And so what does this play into? And so he goes, conspiracy plays on emotion to convince you of a story. So we're looking at appeals to emotion when it comes to conspiracies. Scientists, it's a bit different. We have to look at the data. We really want it to work. You know, I'm working on something. I'm like, I really want this to work. And you hope that it works. You're like, please, please, please work. Please work. Please work. And it you know, and you want to believe that what you're seeing is actually true. But the thing that people don't do is a lack of evidence does not mean there's a connection. And he points this out. We may even observe the lack of a connection as evidence. And so, like with the 5G thing, 5G was being installed at the same time coronavirus happened. There's a correlation there, but they don't have anything to do with each other. And he goes into a bit more. The other thing is who's hiding data. And so it'll kind of play into the paranoia, or maybe they're hiding something. Conspiracy utilizes a lack of data to enforce paranoia. So that concept of worry. If you can convince someone they are in danger, they may buy your product. So I often talk about, like, you have two brains. You have your fear brain that goes off, and it's important that we do listen to the fear brain in order for us to make snap decisions to save our lives. And often what I use is if you're out camping in the wilderness and you hear like a branch snap and you're like, oh my gosh, it's gotta be Jason. He's gonna get me Friday the 13th. Or, you know, you're like, okay, no, it's not Jason. Maybe it's just a regular killer, or, you know, or maybe it's a bear, you know, maybe it's a bear. And then your rational side kicks in and goes, okay, hold on. It was just a light snap. So it was probably like a fox, and it was probably like a twig, probably even a branch. It wasn't loud. It's just a little rustling leaves. You're going to be all right. But that fear side is useful to save your life. But if you constantly let that keep going, and you keep buying into that, and then the rational side starts to get quieter, that's going to be the one making most of the decisions. We see that in racism. We see that in just about every ism we have. It plays on this fear. So this idea that police are brutalizing other people, that's that fear side that's kicking in, to where you're not really being rational. Like, no, they can't do that. They can't do that. They can't do that. That's not real. That can't be real. Or COVID-19 isn't real. It's not real, because then they're going to have to face the fact that this is a thing that could hurt them. And so that's kind of the other thing. So it plays on emotion, whether it's anger or fear or any of that. It works in circular arguments. And so this is why I don't argue with people on the internet. I'm like, yeah, this is a circular. I'm done now. Okay, have a great day. Bye. So, you know, so he goes into a lot of that. But I love Dr. Benjamin Janaway. You can check it out. There's also lots of studies that are done on the perpetuation of misinformation. You can check out Pew Research has done some stuff, shareable quotes. So they have actual study that they did on the future of truth and misinformation online. And the main takeaways are right here. It says the information. I don't know what that was. Who did what? Nathan Jasper super chatted $5. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you.
Yeah, but I heard 5G turns the frogs gay. You know, it's okay. I'm pretty certain frogs can have babies. Either gender. They can switch, you know, like genetic sex in their gametes. So they're going to be all right. All right. So the information environment will not improve. The problem is human nature. That's the first takeaway. 2, the information environment will not improve because technology will create new challenges that can't or won't be countered effectively at scale. 3, the information environment will improve because technology will help label, filter, or ban misinformation, and thus upgrade the public's ability to judge the quality and veracity of content. 4, the information environment will improve because people will adjust and make things better. And then 5, tech can't win the battle. The public must fund and support the production of objective, accurate information. It must also elevate information literacy to be a primary goal of education. So I'm gonna...
And one of one of the things that really concerns me about the whole world right now is that the spread of misinformation is actually statistically easier to spread than the real reality and the real information. For example, that the CDC 6% COVID death bullshit, it's easy to look at that and just go, but once you talk about nuance, people aren't good at nuance. People aren't good at deeper information. At face value information is so much easier to understand, which is why I think anti-evolution is easy to spread, because it's like, how could we come from slime? Like, where's the how did we get there? No, God did it. But once you start looking into how the steps went from one step to another, then you can actually start to see how we got here. But trying to understand how we got here is a lot harder than understanding that God did it. And this really bothers me at the moment, because the spread of misinformation is often based on really, 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 really basic misunderstandings of science and statistics.
Welcome to my world.
Why did I decide to start a YouTube channel? I don't know. I should go back in time and slap my old self. I know, Isla, I'm terrible. I haven't thrown a ball.
How dare you?
I know, I'm a terrible person.
How dare you? I found some of these quotes to be pretty interesting from some of these experts as part of the truth and information. This was in, so the crisis we face about truth and reliable facts is predicated less on the ability to get people to believe the wrong things as it is on the ability to get people to doubt the right thing. It's easier to make them doubt the right thing than to, So let's see. Another idea is, right now there is an incentive to spread fake news. It is profitable to do so. Profit made by creating an article that causes enough outrage that advertising money will follow. So in order to reduce the spread of fake news, we must de-incentivize it financially.
I also think it should be made easier to report misinformation.
It should
like for example, as I was talking about the crap that was coming out about the Australian bushfires. They were talking about it being started by arsonists, and it's like, no, it's not. And so much, I was just constantly just spamming links from the ABC, which is Australia's version, public, the Australian publicly funded news organisation. So they're very accurate with their science and because they have to be, like, that it's written into their policies, because if they start to show a leaning either way, or it's actually considered like it breaks their policy and they can lose funding. So I was linking to the ABC, I was linking to The Conversation, I was linking to so many places. I was just spamming, trying to go, and all I wanted to do was just go, Twitter, where the hell is your misinformation fucking button?
It's irritating. It is so irritating. One of the things, like when I started doing all this science communication stuff, and I don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, because YouTube is also counterproductive for people who want to talk about correct information. And so, as you've learned, I started all of this, and one of the things that I found to be really important when trying to communicate with people about the correct information is to get them to care. You have to appeal to their emotion, just like the individuals who appeal like the outrage and, you know, the getting them to doubt the correct information and that sort of thing. Making yourself available and accessible to just everyday people. Now, I don't like utterly go and destroy you know, like a random individual on the internet. I wouldn't do that. That's cruel. But people with massive platforms who are doing real damage, who are perpetuating a lot of misinformation, which can cost the lives of people. Yes, I'm going to destroy everything you say in every possible way that I can do that, because you're hurting people. Telling people COVID isn't a thing, or it's not as bad as you think, or racism isn't real, or police brutality, that's not a thing. That is costing the lives of people. And they're like, well, they're just my words. But you're emboldening people to follow this ideology of oppressing another group of individuals. We have entire fields of psychology that deal with racism trauma, and they study it. I've Mississippian used to be on Twitter, and she did an audio podcast with me once, and her entire niche is LGBTQ individuals who are Black, and she also deals with racism trauma. And so people have trauma associated with racism. It's actively studied. So to say it's not real is just saying, hey, it's gaslighting all of the victims of racism. In addition to saying police brutality is not real, it's gaslighting all those people, and it's perpetuating this narrative, this oppressive narrative that it's not real, therefore we don't need to change anything. That's going to kill people. That's going to kill people. It is. Just like telling people masks don't work, don't do this, you're costing the lives of other human beings. And that's not humanist.
No, it's not. Yeah, no, I kind of wish David Silverman would just go away.
You know, just put on the white hood and say, I'm now a grand wizard of KKK. I would respect you then, because at least you're being honest now. At least that. Yeah. I would respect that you're being honest. Now, I wouldn't respect you as a person, because I don't care for that. But
can you really respect him as a person?
I just really can't. I don't think I can.
No, I can't. I can't at all.
You know,
even if it wasn't for those sexual assault allegations and stuff like that about him, I still would not be able to respect that person at all. Full stop.
And I'll be honest, being a former biology teacher in the Bible Belt, having to teach evolution to a bunch of farm kids, and I grew up in the same area they did. I knew what they were being told. Beating them on the head with science doesn't work. It doesn't. No. It doesn't. Evo PhD, she's been on my channel a few times. She's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. She's an evolutionary biologist, but she works and she's Christian, awesome, but she works to bridge the gap between science and religion, in that she tries to help education in addressing the fact that people who are resistant to learning evolution, you know, they need a little bit of care too, because there's cognitive dissonance. Somebody's lied to them. And so you have to kind of approach it that way. So when you have these conversations with people, you have to go, what is the goal here? And so is the goal to educate them to where you can be like, hey, I'm a safe person you can talk to about things, or are you going to browbeat them with your science like a lot of fundamentalist type of individuals would do with their religion? Do you really want to do that to them with the science, or say, hey, it's okay, you can be religious, it's fine, that's all right, I just want to make certain you understand what these words are? And I found that is vastly more effective, to completely remove the fight out of there and say, I'm not going to fight you, and go, let's just talk about what the science is. And so when people like David Silverman's telling me to go F off or whatever, I'm like, I just want to have an adult conversation. Are you capable of that? If you're not, okay, have a great day, I'm done. So, you know, so it's like, you're not going to browbeat me, because it's, you brought it, first of all, you brought a knife to a bazooka fight, and that's fine. So let's get that out of the way. We're not on this. Well, I'm not impressed by you. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy. Then you clearly understand we are nowhere near the same caliber of person. So, you know,
and I would hazard to argue that you're probably a higher level of caliber.
You know,
with,
pet.
with your education versus his. I don't even know if he's had an education. I'm sure he has. Like, he wouldn't have gotten to where he has if he didn't. But
But, you know, it's just, what's your goal here? Is your goal to be an edgelord and just appeal to emotion and completely ignore evidence? If that's your goal,
yes,
okay.
He did it well. He's done it well.
There you go. I mean, when I talk about climate science or things that are controversial, I talk about how it's going to affect the individual. This is why you need to know biology. You need to know how to take care of yourself. You need to know how to take care of your family. You need to understand that climate change is real. It's going to affect how much food costs. It's going to affect how much your energy bill is going to cost. It's going to affect how much water is going to cost for you. It's going to hit your bank. It's going to hit your bank account. And so you have to make it accessible in real terms for people to understand, because they don't, you know, it's like reading a textbook. Nobody's starting chemistry. And when you first started to read a textbook, wasn't it like Shakespeare to you when you're like 8 or something and you're like, what the heck is this?
It still is in some ways.
Kind of is, you know. And so you have to practice that and make it accessible. And so when you're dealing with people who don't even go to college, who don't have a good, strong science background, you got to talk to them in ways and make it accessible to them. That's why science communication is really important. Oh my gosh, we got an hour and a half, over an hour and a half.
Oh wow.
I don't want to.
Seems about normal for us, isn't it?
It does a bit. Do you want to tell everybody what you got coming up? Going on?
That's a very good question. I haven't quite figured that one out. I am yet to figure out. I did a poll on Twitter asking, let's do a fun science video, and I asked what I should do, and everyone voted on an Ig Nobel Prize winner. So I did an Ig Nobel Prize winner on the temperature of testicles a few months ago, about a month or so, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm thinking I'm going to be doing that, releasing next week. So what I've done is I've gone from every second week I'm going to do a stream, and every other week I'm going to do a scripted video, because they take way too long, and I feel like I deserve a life. Right.
Oh, Eileen, is it Eileen Ebony? Yes, you can ask a question about a COVID vaccine if you have one. Sorry if I missed it. You always feel free to ask questions. If you have one. And if for whatever reason we don't answer it right now, post it in the comments and I will answer your question. I like answering questions. I can talk about science all day, and it would,
wouldn't bother us at all.
I have like the best job because that's all I do. That's all I do, and I love it. Except I never leave work. It's like,
because it's turning into a constant thing of, here's all the information I have.
So it's like, so since I'm a budding professor and most of teaching's online now, and I've written a course, and guys, I'll be giving a talk in Denmark to a bunch of grad students from varying backgrounds of science, on science communication, the tech that they need, the software that they need, and how to accomplish that. So I'm doing lectures around the world from my little desk here, and so it's great. So that's pretty cool. Batman66 in Periscope, thank you. He goes, you two are terrific.
Oh, thank you.
That's really sweet. I appreciate that. And Amiga Nuts is shilling you and shilling me. So Eileen, I'm sorry I didn't get your question, but yes, if you want to post it in the comments when the video pops up, absolutely. And I will be happy. And people in the chat were telling you to post the question. But there you go. All right. So don't know what we're doing next Sunday, Monday for you. Don't know what the topic is, but if y'all have an idea, man, spam the crap out of Nervardia. Just message her all day.
Whichever way, that way. No.
Or spam me, that's fine too. We're in Denmark. I'm living here. It's at one of the technical institutes. It's one of the technical institutes. It's part of a course that they're doing. It's mostly master's and PhD students. And they're it's I think a communication course, and most of them are science people. And so how do you talk the science? So that'll be really cool. I'm excited. I feel almost like a grown-up.
Damned adulting.
I'm almost a grown-up, guys, and I'm pretty like, you are a grown-up. I'm like, am I though? Have you seen my background? Oh my goodness. Well, any final thoughts, Nervardia, before we sign off about all of this hot garbage?
David Silverman is hot garbage. Racism is a thing. Institutionalized racism is a thing. The dog that I'm looking after right now is still like it's an attention whore. So, please just check your bias. Don't listen to David Silverman. And yeah, just that's it.
Oh my goodness. That's it. Oh, it'll be remotely. Us Americans are grounded for the next year and a half from traveling. So I will
at least.
I'll be remote talking, zooming in, giving a talk on that. So watch for that. If I ever get to travel again, that would be great. It would be great.
Being the operative word.
Oh my God. I miss traveling. You know, I love traveling. That's what I spend my money on. This is like stuff people give me. And I'm like, I want to go to this place. And then I go. So it's like I save up all my money to go and travel. But yeah. But it'll be via the internet. If they let me record it, I'll record it. And then I can post it on YouTube. And you can have a look too and see what that's like.
It would be a good one. All right.
That'd be cool. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
We're going to say bye. Bye, little doggy. What's her name again?
Isla.
Isla. Aww.
How am I?
And Nina, my supervisor, I think she's all right. She's my supervisor. Did I do good, Nina?
She's a lot less demanding for.
Oh God! Wait till I get off of here. She will be like, "You did not give me cuddles for the entirety of that time," and then she'll be like, "She's." Somebody said I should contact HR that my supervisor demands cuddles. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you very much for joining, everyone. Bye.